I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Here to save the day is Kambit Antiware. Hi!
Hello there.
Well, Cam, I appreciate you coming on because this area and my computers keep getting hit by everything, so I appreciate you coming to save the day.
Well, it's been a struggle to make sure that all of those viruses are out of the computer, but I'm glad that I managed to get it all done.
Yeah, as long as you don't look at that one particular folder. Everything is fine.
Oh, I did.
No!
You're in trouble.
Well,
I'm telling.
Got to own up to it eventually, I suppose. Cam, how long have you been doing the internet thing?
That's a good question. I suppose I've been around for about 6 or 7 years or so, but I've only been doing it properly over the last couple of years or so.
Mm-hmm. And is that when you started the VTubing part?
The VTubing part in itself. Mostly, I think I started sort of maybe around the time that Jelly Ghost did. You spoke to Jelly Ghost. I think I've been doing this for about 5 months or so now, maybe 6. I'm not 100% sure, but roughly around about the 5 or 6 mark on the VTubing side of things.
So why did you decide to go ahead and switch over to VTubing?
Because I've always thought of myself as funny. Most others wouldn't consider so. But the big part that I like to play on the internet is I like to try and just make people smile.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, a smile a day, that's a win in my books. And the VTubing side of things gave me a big opportunity to be able to put myself out there in a more characteristic kind of way, so that I can get a little bit more wacky with my sort of media and the likes, to try and provide just a few more extra smiles.
Yeah.
The VTubing side of things gave me a lot of opportunity in that regards.
You get a little more reach that way. You can step out a little further out onto the plank.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah, that was one thing that my Twitch team, Mayhem, shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
That was one thing that they gave me. They gave me a lot of reach and a lot of potential to play around with.
Oh, excellent. So you have a team with you. You were well set when you get started.
I would like to have thought so. Yeah, they gave me a lot of assistance. They gave me a lot of help. You know, I had Mayhem on one side of me, and then I had the cyberspace on the other side of me as well. They've been great.
Yeah,
they've all been great.
So how about the following? Has it picked up from right away? Have you got a good base of followers?
I'm currently sitting at 102, I believe. So it's definitely not small, but I'm still looking to hopefully grow the cyberspace a little bit and get some more people in, so that I've got more of a chance to make people smile.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good base. I mean, folks are coming back at a pretty good rate, sounds like.
Yeah, I'd like to say so. So I must be doing something right.
Yeah, it's good to have, because I've talked about this with a lot of folks, that the key is not just getting them in once, but getting them to come back, and that means they enjoy the personality, they enjoy the overall tone of what you're doing online. Even in the old radio days, they came back for the personality more than the substance of what was going on.
Yeah, that is true, and I'm glad to see returning faces. I really am. It's nice to see returning faces, returning names. It's a wonderful feeling, honestly.
Yeah. So how did you meet Jelly Ghost?
Well, we met. Deciding to see how deep I want to go into this. So I was sort of a middle of the road addition to the cyberspace and the likes of it when I first entered in. I had one of my other friends, Bubblegum, on my side, and Jelly kind of came along. It's a bit of a change here and there in the likes of it, of how she wanted to do things. It was awkward to begin with. Me being an antivirus and the likes, and
right.
she herself being a virus. So there was a lot to work out there,
Yeah,
and the likes of, well, how far do I let her go, and
yeah,
do I deal with the situation here and now?
yeah.
And now
You.
it's just a case of, if I can't do something, I just send Jelly in to deal with the bad people.
Well, there you go. It's you kind of yin and yang with the situation.
Yeah, a very synonymous relationship we've managed to work
Yeah.
out. Most people wouldn't consider that, looking at anti-wear such as me and the likes.
Hmm.
But, you can find friends in the most unlikely of places if you look hard enough.
Yeah. Well, even the most pure antiviruses need somebody to do the dirty work for
Oh, I can tell you that, yeah.
them.
Sometimes it's just a case of, okay, they don't seem to be learning their lesson. Jelly, break their system.
Shout out to Jelly.
Tell them not to down. Shout out to Jelly.
Yes.
Fantastic person. She's probably going to hate me for that now.
uh, it says that they'll have a chance to come back in sometime and give their version of the story. um, no, Jelly's fantastic, fantastic person to interview and talk to. The games that you're playing right now, what are you got going right now on your channel?
So the main things I've got going on right now are, it's kind of a variety of things at the moment. But the big things that I'm looking into at the moment is probably some more RPG games. I
Mm-hmm.
am an absolute fanatic for RPG games.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger the numbers, the bigger the dopamine rush. Um, I'm also playing some card games at the moment. I've got some Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm-hmm.
On standby, and I've also got the Pokemon trading card game. Sort of getting to learn that as well.
Yeah,
But the biggest thing that we've got going on at the moment is actually our Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
yeah, yeah. Jelly told me about that. In the So you've got those going online. How does that work when you've got more than one person involved?
It's very, I say complicated, it's not really. It's complicated in being able to juggle a number of people at a time. Usually with collabs, it's just, let's play a game, let's play multiplayer. Hey,
Right.
let's just focus on what I'm doing, and hopefully it all works out in the end. But when it comes to, juggling 5 or 6 people at a time with Dungeons and Dragons, everyone has their own character, everyone has their own story,
Mm,
and you, being the storyteller, have to make sure that you give everyone an equal opportunity to shine, because it's just as much about the DM having fun, but at the same time, you're telling a story about people becoming heroes, and you
yeah,
want them to make sure that they get the best experience out of that.
that's a great way to describe it. And DMing. When I played Dungeons and Dragons, it was probably 40 years ago. So I mean, we're talking like
Oh,
original
wow.
books, Dungeons and Dragons, and we had a lot of fun with it then. But the game between then and now, there's been so much addition, so much to it. I barely recognize it. I mean, so
It
many.
is exceptionally different to what it used to be.
Yeah,
And whether it's for the better or the worse, I leave that up to everyone's interpretations. Personally, my favorite edition was 4th edition, which was a good, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, I think, at this point.
yeah, yeah,
So that was my favorite edition. That's when I originally started in, and
yeah,
everyone's got a favorite. Just like everyone's got a favorite doctor.
yeah.
It's
That's
just
true.
down to interpretation.
That's true. And and when our game, we would just constantly run into gelatinous cubes, and that would be pretty much it. Yeah, that's and
Oh,
they kept liking to steal our armor before we could do anything. The uh, As being the DM, it's more than just randomly rolling a dice and trying to scare people, whether you're doing it on purpose or not. Uh,
yep.
you have to you have to follow everything. You have to ad lib on occasion because they're going to try and mess you up one way or another. You
Oh, they
enjoy
do frequently.
Do you enjoy DMing more than playing the game as a character?
That's a difficult question in itself, because I love to play as a character. I
Mm,
really do. And being both a player and a DM, it sort of gives me a broader perspective in the likes of how difficult it can be to run and manage a game, and at the same time, just as difficult to actually be a player, because I have to make sure that all of the knowledge that I've accrued over being a DM, I don't accidentally insert into my, into my character's knowledge or my character's monologue. So I'm
Right.
like, oh, I've got to really behave around this particular werewolf, even though I know all of its weaknesses and all of its stats off heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't.
So,
It, that's something too that I think the people realize is that you can't carry everything from what you're doing from one to the other. Otherwise, you know too much, and it really clashes with the enjoyment of the game, I imagine.
oh, absolutely. So, yeah, it definitely ruins the fun, not just for yourself, but for other people at the same time as well.
Mm.
But I don't know, actually. Depending on whether I prefer playing as a player or playing as a DM, I suppose it would just depend entirely on what what sort of sessions that I'm playing at the time, because I've got another friend group. I play as a player there, but at this particular moment in time, I would definitely say that I'd probably prefer being a DM.
Yeah, yeah. Controlling what's going on and kind of helping more than one person enjoy the game. I can certainly see that. And if I ever did something like that, I know that I would just be a terrible person.
Well,
I,
it helps as well that a lot of the group that I currently run on the Twitch channels as well, a lot of them are also newbies to the game, so they
mm,
get to experience it for the first time.
there you go.
So, so vicariously, I'm also getting that sort of hit of first time nostalgia of, oh, this is amazing. Oh, wow. How do we beat this? How do we beat that? And it's that level of like excitedness and just sort of like grasping at new straws and figuring out how to tape them all together that really puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be more of the you enter the room and you're immediately transported in front of 16 black dragons,
Oh, mm.
and they're mad.
Yeah, that brought back some bad memories of bad games that I used to have. Oh
Yeah,
boy,
yeah. I would
yeah,
I would be really bad at it, and well, the games wouldn't last
no
very long.
fun. No, no, well, there's no fun in being a level 10 up against two ancient blue dragons,
Yes.
it's
That
when you're a newbie, you don't think that running is an
that's
option.
right.
You think
No.
I have to fight these things.
Yeah. Well, I had a Commodore 64 way back in the ancient times, and they had Dungeons and Dragons games out for those computers. One person game, you controlled six people, and you progressed through the missions and stuff. It was a lot of fun back then, and pretty much ran every little bit of computer knowledge you can get out of the Commodore 64. But that was great. I'm really surprised you don't see a whole lot of that now. I know
Yeah,
other companies have kind of stepped into it, but somebody could really make a really good D&D game, I'd imagine.
they definitely could. I mean, there's been a few D&D games that I've come across. I mean, obviously the first one that comes to mind in itself is Baldur's Gate and the likes, but
Right.
there's also what was that other game? Dark Alliance, I believe it is that it's called.
Hmm.
That's a relatively fun D&D game. A lot of people tend to give it a lot of stick because it doesn't stick with the traditional rules as written
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
kind of things, because
there's
it's
always
more of
that.
like an action brawler kind of thing.
Yeah,
But I enjoy it. I think it's great.
yeah. I'd really like to see a little bit more of that come out because I think there's a real large area of space that they could cover with these games. But we'll see if somebody buys the rights and works on it sometime along the line. Now you also do the card games. You do both those card games online, the Magic and Pokemon. Not Magic, but Yu-Gi-Oh.
The Yu-Gi-Oh one that I do online.
Uh-huh.
I'm currently running through these sessions at the moment to try and head towards the World Championships regionals.
Hmm.
Try and get into there at the very least. I'm not doing very well, but I'm having fun along the way. That's the main thing.
Now, playing on, do you play off the computer as well?
It's been a while since I've played off the computer, a
Yeah,
very long while.
yeah,
And with the number of rules and cards and all the rest of it that exist that exist these days and the likes, I just find it easier to play on the computer because all the rules are ready to click their way in
yeah,
to sort of give you that extra little bit of a helping hand at the time.
yeah. And they're quick and automatic, and you don't have to rely on somebody else making a decision on something. Um,
Yeah, that is true.
yeah, I would think it'd be a little tougher for some because you don't get to see somebody else's poker face. Um,
That is true. Yeah,
yeah,
that is the biggest problem because you can always tell when someone's planning something, but when it's just digitally, you have to sit there and read the moves and hope that you've read them correctly to see if they've got anything planned.
see, if somebody goes the Jerry Lewis method and just kind of randomly throws something out there at you that you're not expecting, you don't know whether they've got some type of master plan going on or whether they're just insane.
I have experienced that far too much, in my opinion, to be completely honest. So many times I've sat there and I've gone, what are they doing? And then it just comes right out of left field what they were doing. And it's like, oh, I didn't plan for that.
I tell you, it's barely tangent to this, but chess is another game where it's to me watching somebody it helps you out in playing the game. I've played
Mhm.
online quite a bit, but I took on a fellow who was in a local chess club and was certainly knows what he's doing. And when I'm practicing, I'm fair. I'm a fair chess player. Um, and I was doing that method of doing just random stuff. It looked like it was supposed to go to something, but it didn't. Confused the heck out of him and got his queen. And I was in really good shape. The fellow stood up, stood up out of his chair and looked at the board for a second, and then sat back down. And I turned to my friend and says, "I am going to die. I have awakened the chess master within." And he took every piece except my king.
Oh my goodness!
I'm
It's
like,
like those moments when you're playing, when you used to be playing split screen with your friends and shooters, and then all of a sudden they just lean forward out of the chair, and
yeah.
it's like, oh no, I've activated game mode.
I'm so finished. And then after he's done, he looked at me and says, "Would you like to play again?" I go, "No, sir." And I bowed and left. I have learned my lesson. I'm not messing with you. The Pokemon, can you play that one online?
There is a game, the Pokemon TCG.
Mm,
This I didn't even know about it until I just randomly Googled it one day
mm,
because I was looking all over Steam for it. I was like, there must be a Pokemon TCG game somewhere.
right.
Couldn't find it anywhere, so I decided to Google it and just found it on the official Pokemon website. And I was like, oh, okay.
Seems
Download it, have a look at it.
seems
It
like there's so
is
many.
surprisingly fun.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's so many people who collect the cards rather than play the game, which is um. Have you ever played Pokemon? No, but I sure do like these cards. I go, okay. Uh,
Have you seen my shiny Tangela? It's
yeah.
fantastic. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't really help me in the game, but it's really nice. Um,
It's good. It's good shiny.
yeah, it's a good shiny. Uh, yeah, have you played that game out of being online, or just you're still learning the game?
I'm still very much learning the game at the moment. I used to know a little bit of how to play the game on a tabletop, and that was so many years ago. Like back when it was like first introduced, and it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, this looks confusing. And then when you start to learn it, you're like, oh, okay, all right. And then when I went back to it recently, I'm like, I have no idea how to play.
Now
What is going on here?
you can supersize your Pokemon and tie them to something else. Like,
What are half these Pokemon? I
yeah,
don't even know what this one is.
Gosh,
This one just looks like a robot.
this one is a set of keys. How? What is that supposed to do? This is
Why does this one look like? Why does this one look like a trash bag?
this one is the letter L. What am I supposed to do with this? It does get up there, but again, I don't know anything about playing the game at all. But my grandson likes the cards, so I get him cards every once in a while. The any other games that you're looking forward to playing? Is there something coming up that you'd like to, as you're waiting on with bated breath?
There's a couple of titles that I'm waiting on. I don't want to spoil it too much because
Mm.
I may end up very well just playing them straight ahead on the Twitch channel when they eventually come out. So I don't want to give away too much as a spoiler. But there are some very interesting action games that are coming up. That's about as much as I will say.
Mm, a cliffhanger. So folks, you got to check out and see what Cam's up to as far as getting those games, because he's not going to tell me I'm not that good an interviewer. Uh, I'm not gonna to wangle it out of Cam at this point. Have you got some long term?
That's
Yeah, have you got some long term goals you'd like to do for the channel? Anything you really really would like to try that you haven't done yet?
the biggest thing that I would like to do at this particular moment is one of my biggest goals is to run a 24-hour marathon
Oof.
for a charity.
Mm.
I'm not quite sure what charity at the moment. There's a few of them, but my top pick at the moment would probably be the White Cane Project that's being run in Texas at the moment to assist people with getting collapsible canes.
Mm. Yeah.
Again, I think Jelly might have spoke a little bit on this, but the state of accessibility for blind individuals in the US is not as great as it should be, from what I've heard.
Right.
And the White Cane Project is all about making sure that those collapsible canes are available for everybody, not just to give them, an easier sort of stride in life, excuse the pun, but just to make that dream of being more, having more accessibility in life a reality.
Right. Right. People take that for granted if they don't need something like that, and you say, well, just they can still get help going across the street. Yeah, but I mean, the old stereotype of a blind person with a cane. If they don't have the cane, how are they going to do these things? There's reasons.
Exactly.
That's how they use the cane is what helps them, and
Yeah,
they don't just go in,
100%.
like in the old slapstick comedy, just keep wiggling it around until they hit something. It's how they move. So that's a wonderful concept. Let me know when you got that going, 'cause we'll do a little promo for it. Okay?
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. I absolutely will.
Yeah, because this is good stuff. Whenever VTubers can give back to the community, not only does it help obviously the organization, but it also helps the overall what's the best word to use? Opinion, outside opinion of what VTubers do, and yeah, I think that really helps get more people involved in watching and wanting to keep this particular medium going.
Yeah, I do agree with that, honestly. It is definitely, it's a very niche media. Not everyone enjoys the VTubing community for one particular reason or another, and that's probably why so many more of them are popping up now to begin with. Now as it is, sorry, tripping over my words there. Bleh. Probably why so many more of them are popping up now than they were beforehand is to hopefully try and change that opinion
Mhm.
and to obviously give a niche form of media more of I suppose more of a fan base, I suppose, is probably
Yeah,
the best term I can use there. Not the right term, but probably the best term that I can think of using.
I would say potential audience.
That's what the words I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because really, seriously, the potential audience is everyone in the world that has a computer or a
Hmm.
phone. I mean, at this point, but if they don't know about it, that potential audience shrinks a lot. And sooner or later, no matter what your intentions are, if you want to expand your channel, you have to do a little marketing and target an audience and get to expanding to your channels and such. Have you been able to do that? Go to other, not just Twitch, but YouTube and TikTok, that sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah. I personally don't go to TikTok.
Hmm.
YouTube, I'm currently umming and ahhing about that. I have Jelly breathing down my neck consistently, telling me that I should go to YouTube, and I know I should listen to her. I know I should, but I'm a little bit stubborn. I'm a little bit stuck in my ways, so I probably will be expanding to YouTube at some point.
Hmm.
But I suppose it's just the initial nerves about going live, and the likes of it, and I'm still perfecting my craft, but. I heard one of the other VTubers in the community say a very a very matter of factly, just it is as simple as just opening up your computer or opening up your phone and hitting live. You do your thing and then you check the VOD, the video on demand, at the end, and then whatever it is that you don't like, change it. If you don't like the way that you're addressing the audience, change it. If
Yeah.
there's too much silence there, change that.
Yeah.
It's if you can't sit there through your own VOD, then why would other people?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like when you're talking to somebody online. If you're not interested in what they're saying as an interviewer, the audience isn't interested either. And then the person you're talking to also loses the bit and doesn't want to be there either. It's the whole. The big thing for me is people being comfortable talking. And I hope, Cam, that you've been comfortable with me during this interview because it's been absolutely excellent. I really do
Oh, well,
appreciate it.
I've definitely felt comfortable in this interview, and I can honestly say thank you very much for putting up with my terrible puns and the way that I like to address things as well.
Oh, oh no, no, I have a family that lives in puns, so I'm totally used to that at this point. We're gonna have all the links for Cam in the description for the interview up here on YouTube. Again, when you get that 24-hour thing going, let me know so we can get a little promo out for you. And thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.